guys! Welcome back to my channel. Hey, I'm Kelsie Huff. I'm doing this daily vlog thing. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. Solid intro. I have a guest. Ooh, who's this fella? This is Jason Madeja. He is an editor, director, film guy. He's also my husband. Shock horror. Oh, I didn't put my ring on. I don't have my ring on. That sums it up. Right?
Pretty much.
Anyway, everyone's always like, you're married, but that's not the topic of this conversation. The topic of today's video is we work together creatively all the time. And our recent project called The Open Mic, Jason was the director and the editor. And so we're going to talk about it. Are you cool with that?
I'm cool with that.
All right. So first question is, how the heck did you get involved? And why did you do this thing?
Well, like you said, we're married,
Yep.
So we tend to work together on stuff. And you wrote the series with Daryl.
Daryl Moon, who maybe we'll do a video with him, but he has a day job and kids, so it's hard.
And the original plan was just to do it like fast and loose, but the series developed into more than that while you were writing it. And
Yeah.
I felt you needed somebody with a little bit more experience and asked me to come on board.
Yeah, so somebody with like not just an iPhone, like some skills.
Yes.
And yeah, you work at, this is like what you do for a living, like you have a gig where you're doing this, you went to school for this. Where did you go to school?
Columbia College, Chicago.
Nailed it.
And been working, doing videos and film stuff for over 10 years now.
Yeah, which is pretty great. So, was it challenging, because you also write your own stuff, you like create your own things. Was it challenging to come into the process with two writers and then they just give you their product? Was it challenging to come in later in the writing process?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't think it was a problem, but I think you guys had written for so long that when I came in with notes, you guys weren't super excited about a new series of notes.
What do you mean? Whatever do you mean?
You know, just that's kind of the way it goes. Did you feel like it was challenging to get more notes after you had written this thing for over a year?
I mean, I think one of the challenges, like, yeah, a little, only because like you work for so long and you're like, of course it's done. Let's move. Like, I was excited to get to the filming stage, I think, or like the audition stage. So I was like, oh man, of course Jason's gonna have some ideas, like doy. But some of the ideas you had were actually kind of exciting because Daryl and I are coming at it from a real like comedy bits sort of point of view, and you were like, what can the camera do to elevate the jokes, or how can we tell this story in more of a visual way? So once I got over that like ego thing, it was great to have your notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard for me to come in late. I think it worked just fine. But yeah, it was kind of strange because usually I write the stuff that I work on.
Right.
So from here I was just taking yours and being a director on it.
Right. It's sort of elevating it to the next level. Yeah. Now, so directing a bunch of comedians. So you were involved, once you were involved in the process, you were involved in the writing, you were involved in the auditioning, you were involved in everything. Mm-hmm. So what was sort of, what were you excited about to get on set? And what were you like, oh man, I don't know if this is going to work out?
Well, yeah, I was, honestly, how do I say this? When we estimated how long it was going to take to shoot, I think we came up with like 18-hour days or something like that.
They were doozy days.
That was just based on Tim, our assistant director, going through and planning on a normal shoot how long everything would take.
Oh, give a shout out to Tim.
Tim Farrell.
Tim Farrell.
And we had, I think, like 10 days we originally planned. So it was like, okay, we got to just take 18 days and get them into 10 days.
Yeah.
And then we lost 4 more days, so then we had 6 days. Right. So it seemed like an awful lot to try and get done in a small amount of time. So we were doing everything we can to fit stuff in and go real fast.
Yeah.
So honestly, I was pretty sure we were going to have to go back. We were going to have to figure out more time eventually and come back. And
so you didn't think like everything would get squeezed into that time frame at all?
I didn't think we'd be able to squeeze it in.
But we did.
But we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like shocking.
It was shocking. Somehow we squeezed it all in. We went back and we reshot one half of an episode, but that was it.
Yeah.
That was like half a day.
Was there anything when you got on set and you didn't expect it to go either as smoothly, not just the time frame, but like maybe with the actors or with the crew? Was there something where you were like, oh wow, I'm so like, this is delightful? Or was it all miserable for you, Jason?
No. Well, I mean, it's hard for me sometimes because everybody, the actors and everybody, they're like having a lot of laughs, and I don't have the extra brain capacity to have laughs in that situation.
We're married!
Because I've got so much to do.
I know what you mean. Like, you're the guy who has to, like, run the show.
Yeah. So when people are cracking jokes and stuff, it's like, I don't mind it happening as long as it's not, when we're supposed to be doing work. That was never a problem. But I could feel myself being like, okay, that's a joke. The joke's over. Now, what I need you to do is this. And that's kind of off-putting to people sometimes because they're like, that was funny. You need to be, why aren't you laughing at my work?
Especially, like, there's a bunch of stand-ups on set. And
I was very worried about all the stand-ups. Like, every time I asked somebody to do anything, there would be one guy telling a joke and then somebody trying to one-up that joke and then somebody trying to beat that joke, and that would be so hard to get everybody to focus.
Yeah, that was your fear. Did you find that happened?
No, that didn't happen because, again, of Tim Farrell.
Tim Farrell was like, I mean, he's a professional fella.
He's a very professional fella, and he works on, like, Hollywood movies. He's an assistant director, so his, he controls the set. So the night before shooting, he sent out these really detailed, professional call sheets, and I think everybody got those, and they looked at him and they said, oh man, these folks are serious. Yeah. I need to show up and act.
Yeah, for real. I think that, like, that setting the tone of, like, professionalism, which I think you did as well. I mean, Tim, for sure, but you contributed to that. It's very different, especially from the world of comedy, where people are like, I'm just going to do some weird thing in my room with a lamp, like what we're doing now. But, like, you're like, I don't have to memorize my lines or whatever. And I think you're right. I think it elevated everybody. Because, and I remember just people on set, and even now, like, the stand-ups are like, whoa, you weren't messing around.
Yeah, like we had lights and cameras and crew people and things like that. So I think that all the comics came and they all had a part to play and they were all serious about it. And they did a great job. And we really didn't have time for jokes.
Zero jokes.
So we had to move fast.
Isn't that funny? It's like you're doing a thing about comedy and you're like, no laughs, a-holes, like serious business. Yeah. Now, that's not where your job ended. You also did all of the editing for this action, the open mic series. Info button here. Or here, I never know. So how do you switch your frame of mind? Is it pretty easy? Because you're like, well, I'm not on set, so I'm editing mode now.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. When we were directing and doing the thing, I was thinking about it always from an editing point of view of, trying to put it together in my head as we're going and think about the shots that we need to fill gaps and stuff like that, and trying to go back and get those when we had an opportunity.
Yeah. So you're always kind of bouncing between director and editor in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way we shot it was all the stuff that you see on the stage was shot at one day. Mm-hmm. All of the stuff of the crowd. So like a comic tells a joke on stage, we cut to the crowd, usually not laughing. That was shot on a completely different day. And having all of that stuff cut together, I was really worried about. Because like the crowd stuff, we had the same like 18 people. We had them change clothes and come back and sit in different places. And like now it's a different day. Mm-hmm. And it seems like it would have been very easy to mess that up. And I was really worried that when we would sit down to edit, like, oh, I need this moment where the crowd laughs and it's not there. Somehow we messed it up and we didn't get it. They're in the wrong clothes or something like that. But that never happened. And it all cut together.
It all worked out. Yeah. So were there any other challenges editing? Because it's super low budget. I mean, obviously, since you were involved on set, you could sort of, like you said, navigate some of the editing problems maybe ahead of time. But was there something when you were sitting there editing being like, oh, man, this is rough going? Was it just overwhelming? Because you did it all by yourself.
No, I wasn't overwhelmed. There was just technical things that could have happened better. It was really just... It was me, and we had some folks who were volunteering their time, but they didn't have a lot of experience. Yeah. So there were some technical things, like the second camera we were using, the lens was a lot slower than I thought it was. Mm-hmm. So all of that stuff was underexposed. So, there were technical things like that, but nothing that killed the project. Yeah. It was just, there's always issues like that in post-production. So it's just getting
So like sort of typical nothing like you said that would kill it.
Yeah, there was nothing show stopping at all.
Yeah, I mean except for performances.
No, they were great. Performances were great.
That's nice of you. So if you had If you had like a time machine.
What did you think of being on set? What would you have?
I get real tense.
What was hard for you, like as the writer, and then seeing people perform and performing yourself?
It was really odd because I did think that I do have a giant ego, as we all know, but I had no problem. Like the actors were bringing it. You know, they were also like doing things I never would have done, and it was really neat to watch like words, things change and then sort of develop. So I was never like, oh, pardon me, but that should be a your, not an our, you know, whatever. I didn't have a challenge with that. I think mine was like, because being a producer and then being part of it, I felt like I had to be like responsible a lot of the times. So sometimes I was like, oh, the food's not here. Oh, we're all fucked. Like I was like, settle down. Yeah. That was my problem. I think I was like, I'm not great at sometimes wearing all the hats. And then I was real sweaty and I was supposed to be in makeup, you know.
You have to act and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah.
As a writer, one thing that I always have trouble with when I write something and then when you're filming it on that day is hearing the actors say those words back to you for the first time is always a moment of panic for me where I'm like, I should have written something. Those words don't sound good. I should have spent more time on those things. Like I always intended to go back and redo that and I never did. Did that ever happen to you?
Self-doubt. Well, we reshot one, and that definitely happened where I felt like it was just not hitting the mark as much, and it had nothing to do with anybody involved except for I thought the writing could be like. So yeah, I guess so, but I didn't realize that, which is so crazy. I didn't realize anything on set, which is probably where you should realize it. It was afterwards in the editing where I was like, oh, and that's like I'm not trained in that way, like that instant feedback thing, like with stand-up, you instantly know. Where with I think this process, I didn't realize until like 3 years later, which is really hard.
Yeah.
But I don't have that I didn't have the similarity that you had. It's like, oh, I should have wrote that better in the moment. I also think that we were so kind of loose with it. Like you let folks improvise and you let folks kind of bring things. And sometimes it made it and sometimes it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that.
I think most of the time it helped us.
Yeah, I really do. And plus like the casting, I mean, I know this is so cliche, but they did it. They did the thing that they were supposed to do, which is pretty great. So if you could do it all again, Jason, Jason Madeja, director, editor, husband, such a weird word. What would you do? What would you do differently? Or what advice would you give somebody if their like friend or partner or whatever came up to them like, we're going to do a web series. I want you to edit and direct. What would you tell them to do?
I would say it's easy to get bogged down in the technology and trying to figure out cameras and lights and all that stuff. And a lot of people, I think, don't get started because they're worried about making it perfect.
Yeah.
So I would say don't wait to make it perfect. I would say just get started with whatever you have.
It's the theme of this YouTube channel.
If that's, like this, or if that's an iPhone, or if that is, you know somebody who's a student in film school or something like that. You know, there's a lot of different levels of that you can go through.
So don't let that fear or whatever that is, the tech fear, don't let it stop you.
Yeah, I think if you're waiting for the perfect opportunity before you start, you're never going to start.
Yeah.
It's very easy to be worried about the camera and spending thousands and thousands of dollars on things like that, and then learning how to use it and learning how to do all those things that it's not always worth it. So I would say just find what you have, find some people who can help you,
and do it.
Go out and do it. Yep.
Yeah. Would you work with that team and/or me again?
Oh no.
Well, you heard it here first, you guys. It's over.
Of course I would, yeah.
You would, yeah.
You can see our Lucy poster over our shoulder.
Oh, yeah! That's another thing that we worked on.
That was a short film that I wrote and directed and we did a couple years back.
Yeah, and Tim was in this one too.
Yeah.
That Tim Farrell. We can't get rid of that guy because he's so good. What if we were like, oh yes, we also worked on Flight of the Conchords and we worked with Radiohead? No, not yet. Well, Jason, thanks for being on my channel.
It was a lot of fun.
It was fun, and thanks for letting me expose our living area to the internet. That's nice of you.
Enjoy, internet.
Enjoy, internet. All right, we're going to do that cupcake bye thing.
Okay.
You ready to say bye?
I'm ready.
All right, bye!
Bye!
Oh, you said it.